So I got my video done, got my extra videos, time to edit the main review. Let's see if anyone got any good averages with this recently. Hey, Sean here from SpeedQiYi.com. This is going to be my full video talking about the Tornado V3, the Standard, the Flagship, and the Pioneer Edition. And just to kind of go over them once more, the Standard is kind of like how speed cubes have been in the past few years. There's magnets in the corners and edges. It has that tensioning system that was pretty fantastic in the V2, but you don't need any tool. You can just turn it by hand. There's 5 different tension settings for the elasticity and 5 different axis distance as if you're tightening or loosening a screw. And then there's 5 magnet settings. Now, I did say that the MAGLEV version has 125 settings. No, that's all versions. I'll talk about that in a second. The Flagship edition also has core magnets, and that's what I've been kind of using. I've been using a core magnetized Tornado V2 for quite a while now. So the Flagship is basically a core magnetized version of the V3. And the Pioneer Edition has MAGLEV for the compression, for the spring section of it, whatever that would be called. And I mentioned in my first video that it does this way and this way. It doesn't. It just goes back and forth. So what's great about that is you don't actually lose any distance. The strength just changes. I had a couple people reach out and say, would that, mess with how it feels? Like some sides will feel more elastic than others, and I found none of that. Now, I don't have really much time to do a lot of these videos right now, and so I was testing these puzzles out during my lunch break at work. So because I'm putting all that time in, please like and subscribe. It means a lot and saves me a little bit of stress. So thank you very much for that. So let's talk about these. Now, I'm just going to first go over the Standard Edition. The Standard Edition is fine. I personally never really had bad catching issues on the V2. Honestly, I think most people didn't. I think a couple of YouTubers said there was an issue, and then people who have never even tried the cube just say, it has catching issues. I found nothing really special about that. There's the same catching that can occur on the GAN cubes or Moria cubes. It's just, they flex a little bit, and yeah, if you're inaccurate, it's going to catch. So as you can see in a couple solves here, a couple times it did flex a bit more than I was used to, and it did catch a little bit. Now, is it bad? No. It's actually, the price is fantastic. It's like 25 bucks, exactly like the V2 was, but it has the upgraded tension system. The feeling feels a little bit more tactile. Or I think 2 people said tactile is a good word for that, but it still feels very solid. It's 55 millimeters, smaller than GAN puzzles, not quite as small as the V2, and it feels great. I still prefer the core magnetized because I want a little more stability. But if you like a more flexible puzzle, get the Standard Edition. That one seems to work great, and my times were pretty much identical on it, except for the couple times where it flexed a bit more than I was expecting. I'm going to talk again about the Flagship Edition, which is a core magnetized one. It works amazingly well. After some use, I did slow it down a little bit with some candy cane lubrication, but it's great. I'm having a ton of fun solving on it, and my times just feel consistently good. Like, I'm not having bad solves from weird turning. They're consistently good, and I feel comfortable with it. So I'm loving it. Let's talk about this Pioneer Edition. Let's talk about the MAGLEV. Now, the difference of tension from 1 to 5, where it moves it out of the way, 5 I think is right on top, and then 1 is like over here. It's a big difference. I can distinctly feel the difference between 1 and 5. And I mainly did those. I didn't do 1, check it, 2, check it, 3, check it, and like make a whole spreadsheet on how it feels. There's just a vast difference there. Is it as much as the springs? It's close, but I think not quite as much. But it's definitely a lot more than any other MAGLEV puzzle I've ever tried. So that system, that structure of MAGLEV, I think is a better option than what anyone else has done. Now also, it doesn't really feel much heavier at all. If anything, it feels the exact same. And if you gave me this puzzles without me being able to smell that there's candy cane lube in one, I would, without a doubt, not be able to tell the difference between the Pioneer Edition and the Flagship Edition. They would feel pretty much identical to me. A lot of people talk about MAGLEV like, oh, it makes it faster. Why? Like, I get why you think it makes it faster, because there's less friction between the magnets and there are the springs. But when people test that, they often test it without pieces, or they have it like they hold it upside down, so there's a gap between the pieces. That gap isn't there when you're actually solving. And most people need to slow down their puzzles. Most top solvers slow down their puzzles. So why do you want it faster? I don't think there's any reason for that. So with this little rant that I just did, if you want the more just classic flexible feeling but more stable than some other puzzles, the standard edition is perfectly fine and you can get world record times in it. If you like a more stable puzzle, get the Flagship edition. And if you want to feel fancy, get the MAGLEV. That's really why I think you'd want to get the MAGLEV. I, like I said before, don't think it's anything great, and I think it's kind of just more hype. However, with this feeling pretty much identical, even having a good amount of tension options and not feeling limited, okay, it's right up there with the springs, but I have no problem with springs. So I'm going to promote and push the Flagship edition. But if you're going to get the MAGLEV, get the MAGLEV. Also use discount code SCR at SpeedCube Shop when you order to help support the channel and save you a little bit of money. Okay, there's my little plug for the video. Hello everyone. This is the next morning, and I received a comment that says, for someone who prefers light to moderate magnet strength and has never used a magnetic core cube, what would you recommend, the standard version or the Flagship version? And it goes on a little bit more from there. And I realized I never even reference the magnetic strength or spring tension of if it's light or strong or moderate. And I realized that's because it's all of that. Like, there are some cubes that have been like, yeah, it just it's not tight enough. Rarely does a cube feel too strong. On the Flagship version, I tend to be putting things on 3 or 4, which is moderate to slightly higher tensions. And on the regular one, on the standard, I'm putting them more on 4 or 5. But like I said, I tend to prefer really heavier and stronger magnetic clicks. So I really didn't plan on talking about it, or forgot to, because I don't think I need to. It just is. It works really well for a wide range of things. I think if you like something more flexible, then you might not want the core magnets. However, I think you can still put the tensions on like 1 and have a very flexible puzzle with the Flagship edition. Those magnets don't do a ton to make it feel extra clicky. It just adds a little bit of more stability, which will help you turn more accurately. Okay, now back to the past. Now that's about it. This is a wonderful puzzle. This is one that definitely feels just like a nicer puzzle than the other one without feeling vastly different. If you know what the Tornado version 1 is compared to the version 2, that's a huge difference. Version 2 to version 3, it's enough of an upgrade that I would suggest people get it. I honestly will probably never use my V2 again now that I have the V3. Thank you, QiYi, for sending these over. I've had a ton of fun solving with them. This, at the moment, like I said, if there's a competition tomorrow, I'm using the Flagship Tornado version 3. If you order one, let me know in the comment section below. If you don't order one for whatever reason, let me know why in the comment section below. Hit like, subscribe for more content like this in the future. And as always, keep following SpeedCube Review for more news and reviews.